Hello there, this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset Cafe, where we are gathering to discuss pieces and parts of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Today we'll be talking about how to develop faith. It comes from chapter 3 of the book Think and Grow Rich, and it is loaded with information of how to actually develop faith. It includes in there a self-confidence formula that's very interesting. But to begin, as a place to start, what can we see as faith? A way to describe it so that we have something we're all coming from in terms of what we're going to discuss. Good morning, Matt. Glad you're here. Good morning, Roy. Good to see you. Thank you for being up this early. I appreciate that. So, from the book, according to Napoleon Hill, faith is a state of mind induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind, also known as autosuggestion. The idea is, it's just the idea, right? The premise or the that which we are saying Napoleon Hill is saying is that you will believe that which you repeat to yourself. And it's that belief that faith comes from. The emotion that can be attached to the action plan to ensure that action takes place is the way that I see it. Good morning, Eric. Good to see you. All right, so those are some beginning places for us to get the discussion going. Are you still in Italy, Eric? Or have you flown someplace else? Just curious. So faith is a state of mind. Near Rome, near the Vatican. Wave for me. Wave at the Pope. Say hey for me, would you? All right, so faith is a state of mind, and it's induced or created, and we're saying by affirmations or repeated instructions, because I will believe what I tell myself. And all I have to do for proof of that is how I'm able to talk myself out of or into a situation. I can do it. It's because I've said something repeatedly to myself enough that talking myself into or out of something is pretty easy. It's that belief, it's the autosuggestion over the years, over time, that plays a big role on whether or not I'm going to move forward or go backward. I should tell you now that it's very difficult for anybody to just stand still. I don't believe you can. You're either going forward or you're going backward. Even if it's in slow-mo, it's still, there is no standing still. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning, Charlene. Love the topic. I'm just waking up, so if I'm a little slower in brain power than normal, you'll know why. And saw your notification come across my desk, and I said I just have to jump in. So I love what you just said about, so what I heard you just say is that, Charlene, no one can convince you of anything. Is that correct? That only you can convince you of something. So if you did not have enough information about a particular thing and you had one particular idea about it, faith about it, thought about it, then that is your reality. That is your truth, so to speak. And when someone else comes along, someone like myself, and I pour into you something different than what you already know, then you can say to yourself, oh, I didn't know that. So the next thing you know, you'll say something like, oh, well, Roy convinced me that blah, blah, blah. And I would say, no, all I did was give you information maybe that you didn't yet have, and you just simply made a new decision based on this information. So actually what happened is you ended up convincing yourself. So you didn't necessarily change your mind. because changing your mind to me means you don't have new information, different information. You had the same information and you just went, oops, made a mistake. That's changing your mind. But if you make a new decision based on new information, that's not changing your mind. That's simply making a new decision based on new information. I think we do that a lot when we're kids, and I think it continues into our adulthood. So the whole point is, Charlene, do you agree that only you can convince yourself, no one else can?
Ultimately, yes.
Good. I'm glad you said
Because we
yes.
can go one more step. There are
Okay,
many.
go ahead.
There are many people who need to read this book because they don't know how to do that for themselves.
Ooh, good
and that's
point.
why we're talking about it. And the way we're talking about it is there are those who are struggling to deploy critical thinking, ask the right questions, be confident in their own belief system. You know? And of course, that goes deeper into other things, and outside help is a really good thing to have. But coming from that state, this is a new concept for some people, that I can change my own belief system, that I won't do anything unless I actually believe it.
Yes.
So it's based on the premise that, one, I'm willing to take responsibility for my own thoughts and actions. I'm willing to have put forth the desire, the chief aim of what I'm working towards. These are building blocks to the principles to apply in order to get something done and to gain the riches we're going for, accomplish a goal, finish a project, whatever that chief aim is. So these are the principles behind it, just for everybody to know. So we've already accepted that we're going to take responsibility for our own actions and thoughts and behavior. We are going to put forth a clearly defined chief aim. We have the desire. We have the internal burn that says, I really want to do this. This is more than what. This has to get done. This is something that I'm putting my energy and focus on. But we can get hung up in the faith area, because when we are seeing opportunities or laying of the plans to get things moving forward, right, to take action, then it's my belief system that will oftentimes bring up the obstacles. It's that self-talk. It's the that's my stumbling block. So one way to tackle that is through understanding how that comes about, and that I actually can change that self-talk. And Brian, this is about the only time I'm going to say it out loud. I hate that. Please don't tell me that my beliefs are a lie. How's that? I do not like that.
I'll touch on that in just a second myself. I just want to shout out to my good friend, Elise, who joined us here. Charlene, so I'd like you to meet Elise. Elise, I want you to meet Charlene. She's become one of my new friends. And Elise is all the way from Perth, Australia. I met her like 7+ years ago through a Twitter. She connected with me on Twitter, called me Twitter bug. No one before or after has called me that. She had me a Twitter bug, so how's that? So welcome, Elise. Her internet is kind of spotty, but wonderful. So Elise, if you'd like to jump in and take a seat at any time, please do so. Yes, so belief, what Brian said, there is a lie in everything you believe. Be sure that you lie. Well, be sure that the lie you believe is pure, noble, of good rapport, and then keep lying to yourself until it is true.
No,
Brian, I can't go that route either.
No, because what you're telling me, and remember, please remember, people, Charlene believes in the power of words. And if you're telling me that my current belief system is based on a lie, then what the hell's the point of my being here?
Exactly.
That's how strong. That's why I'm willing to say I hate that, Brian. That's how deep it goes in me. No, and it comes from my need and my belief system that says integrity and honesty in all that I do is of utmost importance. That is a strong guiding value of mine. And that's why that flat just does not fit.
It can't.
It evokes that response.
Well, it has to be self-refuting, right? Because if there is no truth to stand upon, then yeah, we can do whatever we want because it's all relative. And if it's all relative, then everything is a lie in there somewhere. Then how do you come to the truth?
If it's relative, then it's loosey-goosey. It's loosey-goosey.
It is.
And there is nothing solid. There is no foundation upon which I'm building my life. That's why I have a problem with moral relativity, quite honestly. Because it's based on a belief system that says, oh, well, in this case, it's really okay.
Right.
It's okay to lie over here, but not over here. It's okay if I hurt somebody here, not okay. No.
No, that's never okay. So that's somebody's opinion. So what I would say is this: is a foot the same in America as it is in Australia? Is a meter the same in the US as it is in Australia? So the answer is yes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have that measurement. Hello, Ralph.
Good morning.
Hi, Ralph. Was waiting to see that wonderful face. Good to see you, dear.
Nice to meet you, Ralph.
I love this conversation, and anyone who knows me, I talk a lot about planting seeds and planting them carefully. If we plant in our image, in our mind, that something is a lie, we are only going to reap what we sow. So when we don't feel that, what we're telling ourselves, that faith is real, we're not going to get what we're after. It's just it's a negative.
It removes every emotion. Totally negates the emotion behind why I want to do something. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how deep it goes. This isn't fluffy stuff we're talking here. That's why I love Think and Grow Rich and the 16s, the Law of Success. Mm-hmm. I love it because this isn't fluff stuff. This is for real. That as you can see, if you challenge my faith, this is what happens when you challenge my real belief system here.
Well, I'd like to put on the table my lowest common denominator, as far as I like to say, because if you don't start where I'm about to go, then yeah, where do you stand? And we're talking about standing on firm ground. So here's what I believe. I believe that if someone answers this question, is there truth, with a no, that it's self-refuting. In other words, if I ask you, is there truth, and you say no, you have to use truth to say no. Therefore, it's self-refuting.
I would walk away.
Yeah. So if someone can't meet me on this ground, at this lowest common denominator, then I, as I usually do, and I'm 58 years young, and I don't got time to argue the truth with anybody, then I just say, thank you so much for your opinion. Your opinion sucketh, and I can't go any further with you. Step aside, let me pass. When you realize and make a new decision based on new information other people will give you, because obviously I can't do it. This is lowest common denominator. Dig deep within yourself. Look at your navel lint. Do whatever you got to do and say, yes, there is truth. Now come back to me and we'll discuss what truth is. I'm sorry, guys. You guys, is that too stern? Is that too crude?
No. I did. Brian, just you made me lose it, Brian. He's lost 10% of the hair he had, and I torched the rest of it off. That's Brian is a friend of mine, and I know what he just did. And okay. I needed to laugh. Thank you. So I'm back now. Thank you, Roy. No, it's not too crude, but I'm not going to have those deep conversations with people as I meet them. Honestly, it is, we attract people who are like us. With you, I'll have that conversation, Roy, because you can handle it and you want that level of connection and discussion, but many don't. And so I'm willing to meet them where they are. And I'm also willing, I don't have a problem when somebody says, I don't get it. Faith, I don't understand what you mean by, if I tell myself something often enough, that I'm going to believe it. And that's because that's how I work. That tells me that they're expressing, I'm ignorant and I want to learn. and anybody who does that, wherever they are, then I'm right with them, because my system of values is about knowledge. And you can't get anywhere if you don't know anything. But if you're willing to express that you want to know something, I'm right there to help you.
I have a question.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Here comes Ralph. He gets me every time.
Let's dig it deeper. Okay. What is truth? What
truth is what I say it is at the moment.
It's what's your belief in something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And on a very simple scale, the best pie in the world is, to
mine. Thank you.
One person may be peach pie, another apple, pumpkin.
So then it's not truth. So then it's opinion. Then it's perspective.
It's opinion.
If it's not universal, it's not truth.
Okay.
It doesn't get any easier than that, right, Ralph?
Well, yeah, and I guess the point I'm trying to make is we have our own belief systems, our own value systems, and one can think that it is true that this is the best I can do. This is the highest I can attain. I'm making $40,000 a year. That's the best I can do.
But is that true?
They can't get beyond the belief that they can make.
To them, it is
for 300,000 or $1 million.
But
it's the truth for them and what they believe in. If they believe that they're not capable of doing a job, or that's their faith, that's going to limit them to where.
All right. So let me ask you this question, Ralph. Does truth change? Yes or no?
To the person, yes.
Okay. See, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah,
truth does not
because
change,
it begins in the thought. No, what we're going from here is it begins in the thought. So, Ralph, this is what I heard you say. So I think that I am not capable of making more than $300,000 a year. And whatever that is based on, that thought, wherever that comes from, there is a belief behind it, which is the emotion attached to it, which is why that's going to be it. I'm going to limit my revenue generating capabilities. I'm going to limit my income to $300,000 a year. And if I want more, if I struggle because I actually do want more and I'm not able to get more, right? I'm not able to cross that myself. It takes some introspection and realization that there's more to just thinking here. Where did this come from? Well, was I punished every time I was successful? Was I punished whenever I had more money? And where did that, okay, so that's how we learn who we are and what makes up our thinking and those beliefs that come in. So knowing that when I start something new and I tell myself that I can or I can't, I can change what I tell myself. And I can replace it with something that will help me. So for instance, my own experience is the committee in the head. When I start something new that involves putting myself out in the public eye, there's money attached to it in terms of my receiving revenue for it. And there is exposure. This is me, just like I'm doing right now. The first thing that will happen is the committee is in session in my brain. And it's a committee of roughly 12 people that came around the conference table. I could name every single one of them. And they all got to talking, and it was all crap from, instances from these people that told me that I can't do this. I shouldn't be out front. I shouldn't be making that kind of money for what I have because nobody, it should be free to everybody. Just all kinds of silliness. But it would stop me, and I didn't know how to get rid of that. I knew it was inside. I knew it was, it was part of a belief system that I had about myself, things that I would tell myself, right? So it took an outsider to give me an exercise of autosuggestion. And what happened is I was able to replace every one of those people that's now different people that sit in my committee and my conference table. And they're saying different things, but it took practice, and it took my wanting, to do something different, to see something different. I needed to get rid of that. It was stopping me. And so through autosuggestion, I was able to change the committee and what they told me. That's my experience with it. Putting it in practical terms and literal, this is what you do.
Roy asked the question, can you believe a lie? And my answer would be no, because subconsciously, if somebody said, did you do this or did you accomplish this? They may not know, and you could say, oh, yes, I did. You can lie to them, but really you can't lie to yourself, because
Right.
you know yourself.
Yeah, that's where the uncomfortable feeling comes from, when you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's
yes,
it's the seed that you plant. It's disruptive, and it will decay you sooner or later. It's you can tell yourself a lie often enough that it almost becomes believable to you, but in reality, that there's that little cancer there that's going to be eating at you that will not allow your self-esteem and your growth to prosper.
So there now comes in something else that Napoleon Hill says, which is that through affirmations, we can change our belief. We can change the self-talk through affirmations. What if we don't believe the affirmation that we're saying to ourselves?
Exactly. That's not going to, it's not going to become your being. It's not going to become who you are.
So that could be a stumbling block that many of us are coming across, is trying to use somebody else's words or statement, right? That that just does, it really doesn't, it doesn't make sense. Where's the proof? So I can put this out here too, because I've been able to do that over the years when I have somebody who is exhibiting the behavior or belief that I want. And I know them well enough to know that it's true. So it's now more than just words. I'm attaching those words to, there's the proof that this can work, that this can happen. So, and to me, that's different, because now I have something to attach instead of just a blanket statement. Somebody shared earlier in the comment section 11 affirmations that successful people tell themselves, and that's where this is coming from. Is so these blanket statements.
Yeah, you know, come in alignment with that. It has to become your being. If I say to myself, I'm a teenager, and I might be able to instill in myself that I'm young at heart, I'm energetic, but
in reality, it's, and the truth is, well, to go back to, I can sit in a chicken coop all day long and think I'm a chicken, but I'm not really a chicken. Right? It's so you're right. It's difficult to lie to myself. And so that's why I'm glad that there's other people around me that I can get mirrored, right? They can tell me what they see, and I can start seeing myself the way they see me. But also, they can help me to come to terms with some of this changing of thinking that I've gone through. And Brian, that's an interesting question. Do you need evidence to everything you believe, or do you take it by faith? No, I don't need evidence. In this case, sometimes to change my thinking about myself and my belief system about myself and what I'm capable of doing, then yes. Faith, not belief. Faith begins where evidence fails. Because if there's evidence, facts are facts. Yeah, that's faith. I mean, we can get into it. Let's get out dictionaries and everything else. We can do that, but I don't know that it will be helpful. I think what is more helpful might be, correct me if I'm wrong, Ralph, correct me if I'm incorrect in the comment section. I think that what would be more helpful is to understand that we're trying to put a strong emotion behind that desire that we have, that chief aim we're going after. And we have to believe that we can actually achieve that chief aim, or else we're not going to do any of the action steps. We're just not going to, it's not going to happen. Yeah, that's what I thought, Roy. I thought you lost your connection. So where do we get that belief system? Where do we get that faith that what this plan I have out in front of me, if I take the action, it's actually going to work? Part of it is I see other people doing it. Other people have done it before me, so why can't I? Part of it is talking with people, because the chief aim is too big, so it's overwhelming. And having those people, which they've helped me to do, is to bring it down into more manageable, chunky size. Not bite size, just big chunks instead of huge mountains. They're just boulders now, but it's more realistic. And yet I know, even as I look at the chunk down, that it is the stepping stone towards the ultimate goal I'm going after.
But if we don't have faith, if we do not have faith, what do we become, or where can we go? If I don't have faith when I get in my car and drive down the highway, that the other cars are going to stay on the other side of the line, I'm not going to drive down the highway.
Oh, well, now you're living in fear. Now you're living in fear.
But at the same time, you have to have faith that you get up in the morning. You have to have faith that you're going to have your day be what it becomes. If not, what type of energy, what would you do? I mean, you would just ball up in this little ball and not do anything. You have to have some belief. If a farmer didn't have faith that the seed would germinate and grow, and he would never plant it. If you didn't have faith, if somebody didn't have faith when they went to their job that they were going to get a benefit, a reward at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, or at the end of the month, a salary, you got to have some type of faith.
I think faith plays a part in all that. It plays a part, but I think it's more of I think it's one step below faith, and that's belief, because evidence shows that that's going to happen. Yeah. Honestly, I think faith is deeper. So I think that's where it stems from, where the belief stems from.
I agree. I guess I was trying to put it at a very, basic, you've got
you're doing that. You're
building
saying
block.
Faith instead of belief. Okay.
Right. Ralph, I think what Ralph's doing is putting a building block there. So while I was out with my internet, I don't know what you guys talked about, but I want to bring it back to what you said, something right before I went out. I was waiting for time to jump in. I asked the question in the side chat because of what you said. It reminded me of flea training. And I just wondered if everybody knows what flea training is, and might you be flea trained? So if I can unpack that for you all really, really quick, because when I heard this spoken about by Zig Ziglar, I just went, wow, yeah, I've been flea trained. So I hope this hits everyone the same way about certain things in your life. So flea training is very simple. You take a jar, a glass jar, tall enough, but yet not taller than the flea can jump out. So you watch the flea jump out. You put the flea back in, you watch the flea jump out. You do that a few times, and the flea can jump out of this particular jar. Now you put the lid on it. Now you watch the flea hit its head on the lid a few times, 10, 20 times. I don't know how many times it takes to train a flea, but after said time, you watch the flea, and the flea's only jumping as high as it needs to not hit the lid. So you remove the lid, and now what happens? The flea will never jump out of the jar. Why? Because it's been flea trained. It realizes that, oops, I bumped my head, and even though it doesn't see the lid anymore or recognize the lid is gone, it still won't jump out of the jar. And I think they've done the same thing with an elephant, right, or any animal that they tied up with a with a chain or
horse.
something on a pole. Yeah,
Horse.
anything. And so I think that's what happens to us a lot of times, is that we've been beat down, not necessarily by anybody that meant us any harm. It's just because they had a faulty belief system. And back to the question I asked earlier, can you believe a lie? And a lot of people said absolutely. So we do believe lies because we don't know any better. And that's not necessarily our fault, okay? Because like I said earlier, it's all the information that you have. And if that's all the information that you have and you've made that decision, until somebody else comes along and pours into you and says, oh, here's additional information that you may consider. Now you can make a new decision based on that new information rather than changing your mind, because changing your mind only means doing so with the same information. But if you have new information, because a lot of people have egos, right? And it's hard for them to change their mind because their ego tells them, no, don't change your mind. That means we're wrong again. So anyway, I wanted to put that as a foundation that some of us need to recognize we may be flea trained.
Most of us are. That's what an example, if you will, was when I described the committee that goes into my head. It took somebody else to give me information that I could replace the committee with. You know, when the conference is now in session, conference meeting is called, it's different people that now show up. So it's different verbiage that's coming out of their mouths, and it's different self-talk that's happening because I couldn't do it with my own thinking. I was grasping at other people's writings, right? I pretty much knew what the problem was. I just couldn't replace it. And it was somebody else that I was talking with. It was a coach, a business coach. And she said, try this. And we worked through it, and darned if that didn't work. But I think it began with a willingness to be open to the new information. I think. Go ahead, Ralph.
I agree, and I like that analogy with the flea training, but that goes. That's not the truth. That's our limiting belief.
Correct. That isn't the truth. Right. That's what holds us back. It's not the truth. It's also a form of brainwashing, I think.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's the truth that we're telling ourselves. This is the max I can go. I can't go beyond that point.
That's it. Yes, it's that self-talk. Right. It's that auto-suggestion. I have absolute, complete faith that I hit my absolute peak in business when I hit $300,000 a year. Right?
Henry Ford.
No, I mean that's a legitimate something that we would tell ourselves. That's a thought. I have absolute faith that I can make $150,000 this year. That's all I need to make. I'm good with $150,000. That's all I want. I have faith I can do it, and that's all I'm going to ask for. Which means that now comes year 2, and all you're going to ask for is $150,000 because you've already planted the seed, right, Ralph?
It's that flea train, yes.
It's the thinking it through to that point, putting that emotion behind it that makes it so solid inside that says it's an admirable goal. There's nothing wrong with the goal. There's nothing wrong with the revenue goal that says for this year I'm going to make $150,000 a year and this is how I'm going to do it. It's the adding in for the personal as the leader, as the owner of the business, that it is so important that I make that 150 that I'm okay with just the 150. Now we're going to get into the limiting, right? I'm okay at 150. That's going to be just fine. I can get by on that. That's not a problem. That's what I'm going to go for. And it's that self-talk that we can change so that this year's 150. Next year is 200. The third year is 475,000. The fifth year. It's because of the way we tell ourselves and what we believe.
Well, Henry Ford said it best, right? He said, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right.
You will. You're right.
You're as right as you tell yourself you're going to be. And that's the key. So a lot of times, and I'll equate this to what we're seeing here on the internet. So when people find out that there's gold in them, our internet hills, I've been here since the mid 90s. So I know
what this
place is littered with gold in them, our internet hills. Okay, it's a lot better today. So if you're just jumping into the gold in the internet, understanding, then a lot of people will promise you all kinds of riches. All you got to do is just sit in your underwear and you got to push these 3 buttons, buy my course, and boom, you'll be rich.
Yeah, I never did figure out how that one worked.
A lot of people they can't think that way. They can't fathom that. The house, the car, the yacht, the island. And it's like, wait, you're way beyond me. I can't do that. I would be happy with $1,000 additional every month so I can make my car payment. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people get into that, but they don't really believe what they're going into and what they're after. And then they say, oh, this didn't work. Oh, that didn't work. Because of their own, again, limiting belief system. And you can believe a lie that you tell yourself. So you have to know what is true.
Yes. And what is true for you? Can this really happen? And that's where, again, I find great value in having other people around me. Because left to my own devices, I will just simply squirrel cage the, hamster wheel, the same thoughts and kind of.
Well, who was it that said,
right?
The same mind can't get yourself out of what you got yourself into?
Listen, I caused the problem. I'm not the one to come up with the answer.
I can't come up with the answer.
If this is the mind that caused the problem, right?
You keep doing the same things you've been doing, you're going to get the same results you've been getting.
Exactly. Yeah. Insanity. Exactly. And a lot of people don't realize this. And so they say, no, I can handle it. I can take care of it. I can take care of it. But they just go from one issue to the next, to the next, to the next, until they finally go,
oh, I can't do it.
I'll ask somebody.
Another interesting thing, have you ever met somebody? Now, this used to be me. I would tell myself, I know. Completely shutting off additional information to come in. Completely cutting off the ability to ask somebody else. We all do that.
Sure, we all do it to some point.
I know.
But
I know.
Some of us linger more than we should. Yeah. I did that. Yeah, of course.
Is that our ego?
Yes.
Somebody.
Yes, it's our ego. Don't tell me. I can't be wrong. Yeah.
It is the insecurity that expresses through the ego. It's an insecurity that shows itself. You can't tell me because I already know this.
Mommy, Daddy, I want to do it by myself. Leave me alone. I know how to do this now. Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead. Entertain us. Yeah.
Shout out hi to Dinah. She said hi to everybody. So.
Oh, Dina. Yeah.
Or is it Dina?
It's Dina.
Sorry. Hi, Dina.
Dina and I are gathering tomorrow. Right, Dina? At noon. She's going to basically interview me. It's her program.
Awesome.
So it'll be fun. Yeah, tomorrow at noon Eastern time. Come on over. Follow her so that and subscribe. It'll be fun to have any of you that can join us on there.
Well, so just to derail this for just a second. So what do you believe, Charlene? Do you believe that you're a better interviewer or a better interviewee?
Interviewee.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a better facilitator, moderator than I am an interviewer. I respond and reveal more as an interviewee because one of my beliefs is that if you want to know something, you're going to ask me. If you don't want to know it, then why should I push anything on you? I don't know what it is you want to know. So until you ask the questions, I simply go on, the bare basics, if you will.
Could that truth change?
Oh, I'm sure it could. I'm sure it could. I've had a lot of people. Well, it could. It just hasn't. I have a lot of people tell me that, I should be saying more about who I am and what I do. And my experience to this point, quite simply, is if it is more than what satisfies the need of the conversation, nobody cares. They didn't ask for that.
I love it.
So the way I approach it, as I try to do that here. Anything I share in here, I try to make sure that it's true of my own experience because I can't speak to anybody else's. And I try to make sure that I want it to be true to what we're talking about. Because if it goes too far off the rails, then now we're going to get into, well, that's not what we asked. That's not answering the question. That has nothing to do with the conversation. What the hell? Why do you think I care? So that's how I think and how I approach things.
Let me just share with the side audience that if you guys use the /Q space and then put your question, we can throw it up in the seats. Let me start with Elise's. There's good stuff on the side here, Charlene. Faith is a lot about trust, she says. Trust is built through trial and error, not only by who or what you think you can trust, or by someone telling you you can trust it, in quotes, or them. So thoughts on that, guys? If you even got what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little, Elise, can you jump in? I'd love to have you unpack that.
Well, if it comes into the conversation or the discussion about developing faith in myself, my own beliefs, so that I can accomplish things, absolutely, come on in.
So she says faith is a lot about trust. She didn't say it was all about trust. It's a lot about trust. So I agree with that.
But what is trust? If I trust you, I believe in you. So doesn't that kind of come back around to that belief?
Yeah, that's why we would need her to unpack that, because I'm sure there's a lot more than what she just wrote there in text.
Well, all right. So if I want to, I think I can tie this in with a question JP is putting forth, which is, where do you or we or whomever, the general you, the general we, go to replace the bad acting committee members? Or do you just pay for mentors? Honestly, and now we're going to get into trust. I have a trusted inner circle of people. And I went outside that inner circle and sought a coach, a business coach, who is successful in her own right. I see the proof of her success. And what I was looking for wasn't dollar amounts. I was looking for her ability to communicate with other people, her leadership skills, her ability to coordinate, moderate, facilitate, all that which I want to be better in. And when we talked before hiring her, I was looking for somebody that could lead me through some of my own belief systems. I knew this was a problem. I knew it was a problem. I tried other things on my own, and now it was time to go outside. So I watched people and I looked around and I was attracted to her. We were on the phone for a good hour. Then we got on the phone again and I said, okay, I'm going to hire you for this particular amount of time. And I want this to be the focus. And we did. And she came through. I was ready. She had the tools and I was able to put them into place, and boom, it's done. And she's one of my biggest cheerleaders now, because she knows that when I say I'm ready, you give me the tool, I'm going to take some action. I'm either going to screw the nut tighter, I'm going to loosen the nut, we're going to take off the bolt, we're going to fix this, and we're going to fix it now. It's done. Move forward, because I'm ready. And I think that's part of what happens when we get to the point, what we're talking about in this book, that faith, that belief. Even if you don't have it, I believe you can get it if you are ready to make the change necessary to have it.
That's what I heard you just say. You said, I believe.
I don't know that that's the best method, JP.
That this person can help me because you did your homework. You were preparing yourself to be prepared by another person.
It could have been
what you lacked.
So JP is putting in here saying, so the best method is to pay for a mentor. No, that's not.
I don't think she's saying that across the board.
I could have gotten that answer from my inner circle. I went there first. I could have gotten that answer from some of the books I was reading. This is a struggle I've had since I started my business, almost 8 years. Same struggle. I had sought it, honestly, an answer to even figuring out what the heck it was. I hadn't even identified that it was a committee yet, but I knew there was something happening. So I had a mentor in my business. I had people that I trusted. So yeah, it became a trial and error thing, actually, and a learning experience for me as I became learn more about what the heck, is happening here? I'm not getting this. And it became important enough for me to identify it as really a true stumbling block. That's what happened. It was a brick wall I hit. See, up until then, it only been a curb. I could get around it, I could get under it, I could get over it. And then it was just a flat out brick wall. And I wanted to get through the wall. That was it. And then the search began again for a tool that was going to be able to get me to changes, because obviously what I was doing wasn't working. And that's when I was ready for her.
Well, see, that's it. You got to be prepared. So to finish JP's thought, I think the best method to help you with that breakthrough, let me just say it that way. You're stuck. You don't know how to get unstuck. You don't know if person A or person Z or anybody in between can help you. I would say don't limit it even to a person, as Charlene said. It could be through a book. Yes, it's from a person. I'd also like to add, it could be from a circumstance. Sure. So when you're ready for your breakthrough, just admit, like the first steps of any 12 steps is admit what's wrong. There's an issue here. So admit that and then say, I want to be prepared to know and find and uncover the answer, no matter how it comes. It could come through a circumstance. It could come through 2 or 3 different people, and you don't like these people. So be open to wherever this is going to come from. So when you're open, I say God, if you say source, if you say whatever, that's fine. There's something higher than us that is leading us, that is prompting us. So be open to that and say, God, I'm open to this.
And that's where the faith actually does come in.
And that it will.
Napoleon Hill tells us outright that infinite intelligence that we can tap into is more than that which is more than us is what we're tapping into for that faith. So where do you go?
See, I don't think you go anywhere. I think you just sit still, be still, and allow that to happen for you.
Okay, so yeah, no, I don't know. Like, can we? I'd like to take that.
Okay.
No, in the terms of what I'm thinking.
All right.
I'd like to add to that to say that when I've guided people on what the heck do I do now, and they're not sure where they should go, is to get quiet and think about the possibilities. I don't know that I go to Blab.
Always go to Blab. Yeah, that's always the lowest common denominator. If you don't know where to go to Blab.
You can start someplace. The important thing is to have an idea of what it is you need. So if you've identified for me, I identified there's a stumbling block. This, I was often said the committee's in session. I knew they were there. I didn't know how to get rid of them. I literally went to sleep saying, I remember times I went to sleep saying, you're gone. I can't have you in my life anymore. What the heck? You're nuts. What the heck are you doing up here? Go away. The repeating of go away. And I didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't working. That's really what was happening. So I came to a point and I identified what the problem was. I did not have an answer to that problem. And I tried a lot of different things. And that's really what has to happen. When it came to the point that it really was time, that's it. I already had an inner circle. And that inner circle is a handful of very trusted friends. These are people, I can count them on one hand. Actually, there's these are people I can call up and they'll tell me the truth about me because they know me well enough to be able to tell me the truth about me. But it took time to get those people in there. Could have happened before. Could have happened at any time, all the other things I had tried. So, you identify what it is that needs to change and now go seek where that answer might be. It could be on Blab. Somebody has a title of something that says, what resources do you use, right?
Now, here's my question for both of you that are in the seats. And you guys, if you were in the side chat, go ahead and text this as well. So JP just said, if there's a dozen life coaches who would like to take your money, there are 24 life coaches who would like to take your money, but only one is right for you. And then I said, or none. And my reasoning is this. For me personally, I have a way to vet people. If I'm seeking advice from people, or if I'm going to people for this type of advice, something along the lines of the emotional, the spiritual, even the intellectual, I need to make sure that they're starting from the same belief point or worldview as I am. So does that come into play for the two of you? Do you need someone that has at least a similar or complementary worldview, or can it be just anybody?
Well, I don't take guidance from just anybody. I also don't ask life-changing questions of just anybody. I just don't.
You know, if you want to learn HTML, you can ask anybody. I think anybody who knows HTML. I don't care what your worldview is. If you know HTML, I can go to you and pay for you, and I can pay for the cheapest one because HTML is HTML. Yes?
No, because if I'm
okay.
asking you to teach or train me, then your method must suit me.
Oh, good. Okay, the method.
We must have the same language.
Right, the method, maybe the personality type, but eventually you're going to learn the same stuff because there's only one way to do HTML. You
Correct.
Can't you can't jumble the letters. It's not something that you can do. You can't put the period here or the semicolon there. Code is code.
Okay.
But if you're, like you said, if you're asking for life-changing questions, like, man, I don't know who I'm supposed to marry. It's like I got 15 women I can choose from. Like, help. Who do you go to? Ralph, you got a thought on that?
Yeah, you could go out and hire a life coach, but what do you truly want in your inside? What is your burning desire? You know, it's easy to see, and I love being, going to nature and just being at peace. There are signs. There's people all around you. And Napoleon Hill talks about the mastermind group. When, for example, if I want a long-term loving relationship, that's something that's important to me. I've been blessed to be married 41 years to a beautiful lady.
Woohoo! That needs to be celebrated. Way to go, Ralph.
My parents were great examples in looking at other people. So when there's a struggle, there's people that share their successes in the way they live. Okay. Yeah, you can go out and pay a life coach, and sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's really good because when you look in the mirror, you see a different person back than the people looking at you. You don't see yourself as other people see you, and not saying that you have to be what other people see you. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is what we reflect back to ourselves sometimes is not how the world sees us, and understanding that, Tony Robbins is a prime example about going out, and he doesn't invent things. He studies, people who are very successful at making money. So he writes a book off of what other people's successes are. Mm-hmm. There's a thing that kind of struck at me a little bit. I'm not a life coach, but when the comment of the life coaches just take the money. Well, excuse me, the service that I give is valuable, and I've earned what I do. And earned from the value that I've given. So then if somebody's attitude is that somebody's out to get me, that they're just going to take my money and run, and I'm not going to deny I have that attitude sometimes when I get phone calls. I'm a professional realtor, and I'm always getting phone calls of people wanting to sell me lead generations. And sometimes it's like, whoa, enough. So I kind of shut that off. So I'm not criticizing, but I guess what I'm saying, they're in that real estate arena, there are some things that really work, but because my mindset is this is another person trying to take my money, I won't get the help that I need. But there's things out there in real estate that has worked for years. Integrity, honesty, mm-hmm. Being loyal to people that you serve. That is something that I can see amongst other realtors who have been successful. And I use that as an example. So if you're looking for something in life, if you're looking how to be a successful business person, study and look at, and maybe just have a conversation, take someone out to lunch that has a very successful business and learn from them.
Ask them. Yes. Ask them questions. Get outside yourself. So first, the one I hired, it wasn't a life coach. It was a business coach. Second, I was ready for the answer. I investigated, I researched, I found the one that was suitable for me. The example of who I'm going to marry, Roy, that's what it brought up to me is if there is a label for her, she was life coach. She was like a replacement grandma for me many years ago. I trusted her. Okay. I trusted Gwen. She knew me inside and out. She had guided me on many, many different life moments. And I went to her all excited about the man I was going to marry. And her response, I kid you not, we're sitting at her kitchen table with a cup of coffee. She leans back and says, "Oh my God, not him." Kid you not? I kid you not.
And of course you did not expect that.
I didn't. And I just looked at her and I valued her enough that I said, "Well, why would you say that?" And she started telling me. And she was telling me about somebody I didn't know. And we talked some more. And over time, she learned that the one she thought she knew wasn't. She was basing her views on very limited information. And over time, he got a key to the house and he's, until she passed, he was always welcome to come in day or night and crash on the bed if need be, because we ended up moving and we'd go down to her, if when we were traveling through the area, we had a place to stay and all that stuff. So she embraced him and she loves him, loved him almost as much as I do. But again, that comes down to my belief system, how I make decisions and how I move forward with things and how I process the information and who I get it from. I'm very picky about who I get information from and whether or not I determine it, because it does. It's me that determines it. Does this really apply to me? Because it's all based on my belief and my faith, right?
Absolutely. And I've come to that.
So knowing all that, all right, what Napoleon Hill is telling us is that when we have that chief aim, we've got the goal, we've got the purpose, we got what we're working towards, and we have the desire there, that emotional attachment that says, I more than just want this. This has to happen. We have to have an additional emotion behind it that says, I have faith in myself that it can happen, that I can do this. Not that I have to do all of it myself, but that it can happen. And the stumbling block to the it can happen can be labeled as a variety of things like self-confidence, lack of, insecurities, stumbling blocks, laid out the plan of action and got scared crazy. When you have that, then you're stuck. So let's change that. Let's replace the fear with faith. And then he tells us how to do that. And I'm at the top of the hour. So I'm going to stop the recording out of respect for everybody who knows that this is a 1 hour program. And then I can keep the room open for continued discussion and y'all can respond. Feel free to respond to what I just said. Okay. Fabulous. All right. So this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know, www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining me in the live stream. Lively discussion. Loved it. Thank you for those in the comment section for adding to the discussion. And those watching the replay, thanks for hanging in this long. So let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses. Until next time, have a great day.